Have you ever been the target of professional jealousy? What about being thrown to the dogs for standing up for your conscience? That's not such a rare occurrence, is it? The old biblical story of Daniel being fed to the lions is the ancient version of these modern dog-eat-dog scenarios. Where is God in such situations? Let's just have a look at that old story because it's instructive in facing the modern versions of this form of abuse. Daniel was taken as a captive into exile while still in his youth. Let's say he was about 18. That was 67 years previously. So now he's about 85 years old. The year of the lion's den story is the same year that Babylon fell, after the fact. So these are the first days of a newly formed superpower. Some commentators say that this superpower, the Persian Empire, was the largest empire the world has ever seen. It had 120 provinces or states, with a governor over each. Over the governors were 3 presidents or chief ministers, and Daniel was appointed as their head. Because of his impressive demeanor, Daniel began showing up the other 2 presidents. Apparently they, together with a scrum of nearby governors, conspired to closely observe the old foreigner to catch him out in some matter of corruption or indiscretion. Despite their diligent and combined efforts, they could find nothing to pin on him. He was just too honest, and his integrity was unquestionable. It's at this point that we see racism surfacing, a special brand of racism based on religious prejudice. If his religious practices were the only flaw his antagonists could exploit, then they would exploit them for all they could. Daniel was despised for being different, so efforts were made to destroy his religion and him along with it. We are no stranger to this today. In recent history, we've seen the destructive power of, for example, Ku Klux Klan, anti-Semitism, apartheid, and more recently, militant Greens, the alt-far right, terrorist extremists of every stripe. The danger of these ideologies is that those who practice these extremes have no conscience at the death of their victims because they think they're helping God, or at least promoting a higher cause. The conspirators against Daniel persuade the king to issue an edict that it would be illegal for a period of 30 days to show religious devotion to any deity except the king. And as preposterous as this sounds, the king went along with it. Maybe thought it was a way to cement solidarity in the new empire, or maybe he enjoyed the way it stoked his ego. It was not uncommon in antiquity for the king to be regarded as a god, so he took that in his stride. Kings in the ancient world, like today's super-rich, liked to keep exotic animals, and it seems the Persian king was attracted to lions. His collection proved useful in helping to reduce the number of criminals and of his critics. He had no idea that Daniel was being lined up for that fate, and finding that out, he became very upset. But Persian law was unchangeable. Once it was put in place, it could not be revoked. Daniel was forced into spending the night with the lions. After a tortured and sleepless night, the king hurried to the den, hoping against all hope that Daniel may still be alive. "Is your God able to save you?" he asked. Daniel's response must have brought huge relief to the king, which was immediately changed into fury against the conspirators. He had them rounded up and thrown to the lions, who were grateful to receive the meal that they were supernaturally withheld from the previous night. What's in it for us? Professional jealousy and religious prejudice have been around a long time. Daniel's experience gives us some guidance. We don't need to retreat into a cocoon when confronted by forces that would prefer to overwhelm us. It is not us that is the target, but the sense of right and decency, and beyond that, God Himself. And even if we are thrown to the dogs or the lions, we know that God is there with us during those dark and dangerous nights, because He wants to demonstrate through us that there is still a God in heaven that makes Himself known to a world ignorant of Him.